you're bringing it to the city. You're bringing it to people that have never really experienced NASCAR racing before.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cup Connection. I'm Mike Massaro. We've got a great guest today, the absolutely perfect guy to talk to before the Chicago street race. That's AJ Allmendinger. We'll get to him in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to encourage all of you, if you like what we do here on Cup Connection, please hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, let's get right into it with AJ. AJ, great to have you here today.
Man, thanks for having me. It's been a while, Mike, since we've been able to do each other.
It has. And when I connect with drivers like yourself, it feels like I'm right back in it. So thank you for being with us. Hey, coming off an Xfinity Series win in Nashville, I bet you that brings a little swagger to the table this week.
It always helps, man. Like winning, it doesn't matter what series you win in, but just winning always helps. And, what a cool place to win at in Nashville. That guitar is iconic. I feel like beggars can't be choosers. I'll take wins anywhere I can get them, but there's certain trophies that stand out, and that guitar is always one of them.
You play the guitar?
Well, first of all, it's Matt Collick's guitar right now, so I'm waiting for mine. But no, I'm not, and I definitely need to learn how to.
All right, well, the trophy's a little bit different this week. Have you seen it?
I have seen it, yes. I would love to win the inaugural street race. If you see next to me, this is our new cat. This is Chicken Nugget. So Chicken Nugget will be running through the screen every now and then. But
Chicken Nugget.
Chicken Nugget, yeah. So my wife, our little side note, our little boy, Mr. Tickles, passed away at the beginning of the year, unfortunately. But I've never been really got cats before. So when we got Mr. Tickles, my wife, Tara, told me that because cats can be a pain in the butt sometimes. So you got to have a funny name when you're screaming at them to make you smile. All
right. My dog is right over here. We're not going to tell her there's a cat in the room. She'll lose it. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about the Chicago street course. You've driven street courses before. You're one of the few people in the field this week who's done that. So give us a sense, how different is a street course compared to a permanent road course, a place like Watkins Glen or Sonoma?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different. When you get a street course, you get all the uniqueness of what those streets are, right? You got sewer drains, you got different types of pavement that you go across. The Chicago street courses pave certain areas, but the other parts of the racetrack are still the city streets that have cracks and crowns in them and things like that. But the biggest thing really is you don't have any room for error. And looking at the layout of the Chicago street course, I mean, there's not a lot of runoff, if any. And if you commit to a corner and you don't make it, you're probably going to hit a concrete wall, unfortunately. And that's what makes street course racing so fun, to be on the ragged edge and knowing that you really can't make a 2-inch mistake because you pay a huge price for it.
Fun. It sounds stressful to me.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The heart will be beaten, especially when it comes to qualifying, because but I've always said that, like, some of my favorite memories of just being a race car driver is like in Champ Car, of just like nailing that perfect lap in a street course. That's the cat again. So, but yeah, that's it. It's being able to be on that ragged edge, an inch off the wall, and to be able to do that and hopefully do it better than everybody else.
So something you said there kind of stood out for me. You said that different types of pavement. With that, I'm sure there's parts of the racetrack that have more grip than other parts. Searching that out. I mean, is that something you need to search out for?
You're definitely going to search out. And really the other thing is the fact that it is city streets. So all that oil that comes up through the road and stuff that just regular street cars put on it every day, the track will continually change. So I think Xfinity is the first cars out there. I mean, the track is going to be slick no matter what. It doesn't matter what type of pavement that they put down. It is just going to be slick, probably dirty. So as the weekend goes on, it will get better and get faster because you just clean it off and then you lay rubber down. So that's something that, for me, you always got to be kind of on top of your game, because you're trying to figure out from one lap to the next that the track just might gain grip. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely different pavements that go on, and you got to figure out what's good about it and what's bad about it.
Yep, those streets are going to be a little bit different for the commuters on Monday, I would think. A little bit more rubber on the racetrack.
Yeah.
A little different. So how fast do you think you'll be going on this track?
That's a good question. Kind of doing sim. I haven't really paid attention to the top speed. I know in sim right now, the cup cars have 5 gears. You're not actually grabbing fifth gear. The gear stack is close enough. As you come out of turn two, I think that's going to be the fastest section. As you come out of turn two, you kind of go through the kink of turn three to get ready for turn four, which is going to be a tricky corner because it feels really bumpy and you enter with a lot of speed. I think top speeds maybe around 150, kind of 140, 150. The straightaways aren't overly long for sure on this racetrack.
Well, it'd still be interesting, regardless of how fast it is. Where are the passing zones?
Now that's a better question. Where are the passing zones? So
you don't know.
We'll figure it out. Definitely turn one. You come off the last corner and turn one. A lot of the brake zones are hard brake zones that you're going down to first gear. It feels like so. Definitely turn one. I feel like if you make a mistake out of turn one, you kind of leave yourself vulnerable for a pass going into turn two. The end of the back straightaway is going to be interesting, like I said, because you are carrying a lot of speed in there. So it's not like it's an overly hard brake zone. And that corner really narrows up. So I think, kind of looking at the racetrack, there's maybe 2 to 3 real passing zones. But Mike, as you know, and as you've covered and called cup races and just stock car races in general, we kind of make our own passing zones. So that's going to be something there's going to be a lot of beating and banging on each other for sure.
I know the audience likes that. So I don't know how much you guys do, but I know the audience enjoys watching a little physicality on the racetrack. So I want to get away from actually, the actual practice of driving a racetrack to the significance of this event. NASCAR is making a big deal out of it, rightly so. How do you see this in terms of how big a deal it is?
Well, I think it's a huge deal because, it's the first time NASCAR's doing something like this. And, for me, what I always enjoyed about street racing, the racing itself and driving the racing vehicle around the racetrack is intense. It's fun. It's stressful. But what I've always enjoyed about these events is the party atmosphere, the festival that you bring to the city. I've seen numbers that say, over around 70% of tickets that have been sold are people that have never been to a NASCAR race.
Right. That's big.
And that's, as you know, we race at a lot of racetracks that are kind of not near the main city. When they call it Nashville, it's not Nashville. It's Lebanon, right? Like when we race in Homestead, it's not Homestead, Miami. It's Homestead. Miami's an hour away. So you're bringing it to the city. You're bringing it to people that have never really experienced NASCAR racing before. You're going to have people that love it. You're going to have your people that hate it, that it's a pain for them during the weekend because of commuting and things like that. But, with that said, you're also kind of trying to broaden the horizon and open eyes of kind of new fans. And, with that, it's not just about the racing. It's about, the chain smokers, Miranda Lambert, the Black Crows, all the concerts that they're having, all the parties that they're having. And it's like, oh, by the way, there's 2 races going on as well. So I think it's very significant. Chicago is a huge sports town. If it's done right, it can definitely bring a ton of new fans. And no matter what, I think this weekend, we're going to have a lot of eyes on us just because it has been hyped up so much.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, maybe you could bring that guitar you won and play with Miranda. Perhaps.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe.
Why don't that's a great way to make Sports Center. Me trying to crash Miranda Lambert concert and try to play a guitar that I have no idea how to play.
Top 10 play. Actually, what's the opposite of the top 10? The not top 10?
Not top 10, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, perhaps. Hey, let's talk big picture for you, okay? So the playoffs, people are going to be talking about it quite a bit over the next 9 weeks. We got a question on Facebook from one of our viewers, from MJ. It's a great question. It's one I have myself. He wants to know how you plan to approach these next 9 races to get yourself into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I still in my head we got to win a race. I feel like that's the easiest way to go make the playoffs. But the biggest thing on our side of it at college racing, on the Cup side of it, is the fact that we struggled really bad at the beginning of the year. We ended last year. I felt like, okay, we have a good amount of speed, but we know how it is. All these big race teams that have been doing it for many of years. You take a car that last year you really didn't get to work on because nobody even had parts. You were just trying to get the car to the racetrack. You give the whole offseason a chance for them to develop the race car. So, when we started the year this year, we were probably a bit off more than we expected. And over the last, I'd say 3 or 4 weeks, we've kind of honed in on where we're lacking and we're making it better. Sonoma, it was a really good weekend. Nashville was a really good weekend. So I don't even think about the points. Like, I didn't even really know this week until I started doing interviews for the race that they're talking about playoffs. And they're like, yeah, you're only 20 odd something points out. I'm like, oh, well, that's great. Like, I've just been focused on just trying to run better, because I feel like if you run better, the points are just going to take care of themselves. So I still look at it that way. We know racetracks that we have a chance to maybe win. Place like this weekend, go to Indy, go to Watkins Glen, and other racetracks. It's just about getting better at and trying to maximize the best finish for the weekend.
Yeah, no question. You've got an excellent shot at winning this week. You mentioned Indianapolis, Watkins Glen. I mean, do you place a little more emphasis on those 3 places because that's a great opportunity?
I don't think I put more emphasis on it. I always put more pressure on myself on those weekends just in general, because, it's not from the media side of it, but just for me personally, I'm like, I want to go show that I'm one of the best out there. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to do that every weekend. We all have tracks that we have favorites, and other tracks are like, that's not my favorite. If I can go run 12th that day, that's a great finish for us. So I wouldn't say as a team or anything, we put more emphasis on one race to the next. We know the road courses, we got a really good time to shine there and we have a chance to win. But at the end of the day, it's like we get done this weekend, we go to Atlanta, all the emphasis is on Atlanta. And that's the way it is.
So I'm curious, being as good as you are at road courses, I would imagine there are other drivers who come up to you periodically throughout the course of the weekend and say, hey, AJ, I'm lost in this corner. I'm lost in this corner. How much of the insight are you willing to give? And where do you hold back when it comes to that kind of thing?
I mean, if I get asked questions, I'm honest about it. I got taught by Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson, Mark Martin, Tony Stewart, guys like that. And I always had a lot of respect for the fact that I felt like they were never lying to me. They would tell me up front what they thought and maybe if they saw me on the racetrack where I was struggling and things like that. So I feel like out of respect to the sport, I try to do the same. At the end of the day, I want everybody to be at their best and I want to win and I want them to be at their best. So when I win, I know that I was at my best, and that's the way to me it should be. So I think a lot of it more is about what we do with the race cars and things like that, especially at the Cup level. The Xfinity level is a little different. You got, for the most part, you got young guys that are trying to learn. At the Cup level, everybody's so good. There's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot of questions being thrown around, but I've always had that respect that, if I ask somebody a question, they're being truthful with me, and I'm going to do the same.
Tremendous sportsmanship. Hey, I want to speak with the audience real quick. Just remind you folks out there, if you like what you're seeing here on Cup Connection, please hit like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also look back at our previous interviews. Last week, we had a great interview with Jeff Burton. He had some interesting things to say about what remains here in the season. All right. Well, I want to wrap things up with AJ now. Chicago, as you mentioned, a lot different than Joliet. Where are you headed? I mean, you headed to Portillo's, maybe Wrigley, maybe grab some deep dish pizza. What's on your mind outside the racetrack this week?
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun because we fly in on Friday kind of early afternoon, and we get checked into the hotel, and then there's not for me like nothing to do until midday or late morning Saturday kind of time. So it's been a long time since I've actually been to downtown Chicago. I always enjoyed it when we raced in Joliet to come down and check out Chicago. So I don't have a specific place, but I'm probably going to go walk around and go find some nice places and kind of remind myself what Chicago is.
Well, maybe you could show off that trophy with an old style. It's the beer of choice, I think, in Chicago. So, hey, AJ, thanks again for your time. We wish you the best of luck in the Windy City. We know you'll be good.
I appreciate it, Mike. Great talking to you again.
Terrific speaking with you. Folks, thanks for watching us here on Cup Connection. We hope to see you next week.